The first sound in the Harrington ballroom wasn't the string quartet, or the shuffle of gowns, or the clink of champagne glasses. It was the steady tap, tap, tap of a black cane against marble. Heads turned, conversations stopped mid-sentence. The cane appeared first in the arched doorway, its polished onyx handle gleaming under the chandelier's golden light. Then came the bride. Amara Johnson stepped forward, the hem of her ivory gown brushing the floor. The gown was simple but regal, not from a Paris boutique, but hand-stitched by her grandmother, with every bead sewn from memory and love. Her hair was a soft crown of curls, her skin deep and luminous. And with each step, the cane tapped, announcing her presence in a rhythm that was both delicate and unyielding. To strangers, the cane was the first thing they noticed. To Daniel Harrington, waiting at the altar, it was the least remarkable thing about her. He saw the woman who had taught him more about strength than any boardroom or billion-dollar deal ever could. But not everyone saw her that way. In the front row, Victoria Lyle crossed one leg over the other. Her diamond bracelet caught the light with every small, smug movement. She had once been Daniel's fiancée, until she'd realized his loyalty came with morals she couldn't bend. Losing him had been bad enough. Watching him choose a black woman with a limp over her. Unthinkable. Victoria leaned toward the women beside her. Her lips barely moved, but her voice was pitched just loud enough to be heard by the nearest tables. Well, at least he's doing some charity work today. It wasn't loud, but it didn't have to be. The venom was in the tone. A hush spread through the front rows. The pastor faltered. Amara felt the sting, not because the insult carried truth, but because it carried history. A history she'd fought her whole life. The assumptions, the glances, the quiet exclusions in conference rooms and country clubs. Daniel's hand tightened around hers. Then he let go. He stepped forward slowly, his eyes sweeping the crowd. When he spoke, his voice was calm, but the steel in it made even the chandeliers seem to listen. I wasn't going to give a speech until later tonight, but now I think I have to. The room fell silent. All my life, I've been told that wealth is power. That influence is power. But I've learned something far more important: real power is standing beside someone when the world tries to tear them down. He turned his gaze, deliberate, piercing, to Victoria. Some people measure worth in bank accounts, skin color, physical strength, or family names. I measure it in courage, kindness, and the ability to love without limits. And if anyone here thinks my wife doesn't belong by my side, then they don't belong in this room. For a moment, no one moved. Then Eleanor Harrington, Daniel's grandmother, rose from the second row. 80 years old, regal as a queen, she began to clap. Slowly, firmly. The sound echoed in the silence. One by one, others joined in until the entire ballroom roared with applause. Amara's throat tightened. She didn't need defending, but knowing that he would, without hesitation, meant more than she could put into words. Victoria's smile faltered. But her humiliation was far from complete. Because before the night was over, she would learn who Amara truly was, and when she did, she would spend the rest of the evening trying to disappear. Long before Daniel, long before love or wedding vows, Amara was fighting a very different battle. At 23, she was a junior researcher in a biotech lab, working endless hours while recovering from a car accident that had shattered her right leg. Doctors had warned her she might never walk again. She proved them wrong. But the limp remained, a permanent echo of the night that changed her life. She poured herself into her work, developing a prototype for a medical device that could aid patients with nerve damage. Investors weren't interested. Not in her idea, and not in her. She still remembered the boardroom where a venture capitalist, smiling thinly, told her, "You'd have better luck if you let someone else present. Someone, more marketable." But Amara refused to step aside. She pitched again and again, each time refining her plan. By 28, she had secured funding, not because someone gave her a handout, but because her invention was too revolutionary to ignore. Within 3 years, she was CEO of her own multimillion-dollar biotech firm. And she kept her position discreet. Not because she was ashamed, but because she had learned something powerful. People revealed their true character when they thought you had nothing to offer them. Daniel met her at a charity gala for spinal injury research. An event she had partly funded without attaching her name. He noticed her not because of her cane, but because she was standing in a corner, deep in conversation with a young athlete in a wheelchair, completely ignoring the elite crowd around her. When he introduced himself, she shook his hand without a flicker of recognition for his fame. "And what do you do?" she asked plainly. He laughed. Most people already knew. She didn't. Or pretended not to. He liked that. Within months, they were inseparable. Within a year, engaged. After the ceremony, the ballroom transformed into a sea of laughter, clinking glasses, and music. Amara moved gracefully between guests, her cane tapping softly, Daniel never far from her side. Victoria kept her distance, until she didn't. She approached Amara with a smile too wide to be real. "Congratulations," she said, her tone syrupy. "I'm sure this must be overwhelming for you." Before Amara could respond, a man joined them, Dr. Patel, the chairman of the National Medical Innovations Board. He clasped Amara's hand warmly. "Amara, the board is still buzzing about your keynote last month. You've set a new gold standard for the industry." Victoria's head snapped toward Amara. "Keynote?" she asked, her smile faltering. Dr. Patel looked at her as though she'd missed something obvious. "Of course. As CEO of Aurelice Biotech, she's leading some of the most groundbreaking work in neural regeneration. Daniel's lucky, but so is the medical world." Victoria's face drained of color. She glanced at Daniel, then back at Amara, her mouth opening and closing without words. Amara smiled politely. "Yes, it is overwhelming. In the best way." Later that evening, during Daniel's official wedding speech, he paused, looking directly at Victoria. "Some people think my wife is lucky to have me. The truth? I'm the lucky one. She's changed lives before she ever changed mine. And when I met her, I didn't see a cane, or a limp. I saw a leader, a fighter, and a woman I wanted to walk beside for the rest of my life." The room erupted in applause. Victoria stared at her glass, wishing it would swallow her whole. As the night wound down, Daniel and Amara slipped out to the garden. Fairy lights glowed overhead, and the scent of roses filled the air. "Do you regret saying it?" she asked softly. "Saying what?" "That anyone who doesn't respect me doesn't belong in the room." Daniel smiled. "I'd say it twice if I had to. 100 times." They danced barefoot under the stars, laughter spilling into the warm night. In that moment, it didn't matter who was watching. The only eyes that mattered were each other's.